Hi everybody, welcome back. It's Michelle at Hesketh Emporium, handmade, and part 2 of how to clean a vintage sewing machine. So I left off giving you the task of going away, opening up your machine, doing whatever I said in the previous video, and cleaning the dust and the dirt out of this machine or your machine. Now, what a surprise. Well, why am I surprised? I shouldn't be surprised by anything I find in these machines after all the ones I've done. It was not good. I love the fact that when the lady gave me this machine or sold me this machine, she said it was a really good machine and it worked really well. And I'm sure it probably worked okay. But this is just the dirt. I'm going to tip it over. That I found in the machine after the vacuuming. Now, I don't know about you. You might think that's not terrible. Well, it is. Believe me, every one of these is potentially a hazard. Now, these little pieces that you can see here, these little balls, they're very hard. They're the ones that cause the biggest problem, the build-up. They just compact one on top of the other. And that's the problem that you have with these older machines, with any machine, sorry, not just an older machine. So I've got rid of the majority of what I could. I did have to take this plate. This is the bobbin case. So remember I said to you, front-loading machines have a different bobbin case than these ones do. So that's a bobbin case for this type of machine. Here's a bobbin case for a Bernina Activa, I think it is. They're all different. Let me see if I have a bobbin case lying around in my tool trunk here to show you what a front-loading bobbin case looks like. Sorry, entertain yourself. I should put some music on for you, shouldn't I? Anyway, let's look in here. Anything in here amongst all these tools? No, that's from an old Toyota. I do not have one currently lying around. I will have to pull it out of one of my sewing machines. So, bear with me. I'm going to get one out of here for you to look at. Sorry, Bernina. This Bernina over here that I'm talking to, by the way, is Bessie. She's going to give up her machine's bobbin case just for a second to show you. Okay, I'm here. I'm back. Right. This is a bobbin case from a front-loading sewing machine. Inside is the bobbin, so that will drop out. There's the bobbin. This is the bobbin case. So you can see it's entirely different, but it serves the same purpose as this. The bobbin fits into it, and it's got a tensioning disc on it somewhere, and that is what gives you your bobbin's tension. So I took this one out. I'm not going to show you how to do this. I can guarantee you'll find a video on YouTube that's already shows you in great detail how to do that. So I have taken it out, and as a result of taking it out, I managed to get much deeper into the machine's throat or the bobbin mechanism, and I have now cleaned out all of the dirt that I could. So I'm going to tilt you back downwards again. I'm going to get you a little bit better this direction so you see more of the machine and less of me. And we are now, that we've got rid of the dirt, we are now ready to put some oil in this machine. So, a couple of things. When I spoke to you about compressors, this machine may be a little different to some. So if you've got a compressor and you've got a really old machine that fits into a table or a little cabinet, then there is sometimes benefit in a compressor. The biggest thing is a compressor blows air at a very high pressure. doesn't leave any moisture behind. So when you blow your machine, you're not leaving any moisture in the mechanism to rust. The other thing is, this machine, if you tip it over, is designed to go into a box or a case or a cabinet or a table, which is why you can see the mechanism on the bottom on these older machines like that. The beauty of that is this is the whole mechanism up here, which I've been cleaning. And as I was cleaning, a lot of stuff fell out this way. So equally, if you blew compressed air through the top, then it would actually fall out and wouldn't get stuck in the mechanism. So that's the one time I would say go ahead and use a compressor. And also with these machines, lift it up, tilt it over, tip it upside down, whatever you need to do to get the junk out of there. Because, oh gosh, I can't tell you how many times I've done this. And snap needles and pins have fallen out of the machine at the same time. So I tend to give them a good thump and a roll and a rattle just to hear that there's nothing loose inside while I'm busy. So now, oiling this machine. What was the number one rule? Machine oil only, please, peeps. Good quality machine oil. Don't buy cheap oil. And there is a difference, so buy the good quality stuff. So for this, I'm going to use this little dropper. What I tend to do is, on a mechanical machine, if it moves, I oil it, okay? That's my theory. Anyway, so I've got the hand wheel on the side here, and I keep turning that. And anytime I see where the mechanical parts move, that is what I will put a drop of oil on. Doesn't require a huge amount of oil. One drop of oil actually goes a really long way. So I'm going to start by just popping a drop of oil onto these bits over here that move, but only very gently, so they don't need a lot of oil because they only go backward and forward. What we want to oil mostly is anything that turns significantly, like this mechanism at the base of the bobbin case. The minute you put oil on there, you won't believe what a difference it'll make. Immediately everything goes a little bit smoother and runs nicely and just flows the way it probably did the day it was built and oiled. So on this machine, I have the fortunate thing that I can tip it over. So that's what we are going to do. We're going to tip it over and we're going to get to this section where the whole mechanism moves. And I might be able to turn it at the same time so you can see as I turn that wheel with my one finger, you can see everything that moves. If it moves, I oil it. So I oil between there. There's a joint. I oil between there. There's a pin that comes through to hold that mechanism. I oil that. I oil this large mechanism, both sides. Do you know what? At the end of the day, these machines, there's nothing I can ruin. Electronics, computer boards, motherboards, all of those sort of boards that I can damage by putting too much oil on here. The only caveat, if you put too much oil on, you need to run it through the machine before you use the machine, clearly. You do not want that oil to get onto your beautiful garment that you've spent hours and hours cutting out, and the oil will never come back off again. So go ahead, do that. Oil all the bits that need oiling. Anything, and I'm including this whole section at the bottom here, wherever the wheels are and the cogs are, I am oiling that. In fact, my little syringe is just about to run out of oil, so I will have to resort to the bigger bottle in a second. Have I missed anywhere? Can always come back and do it again, you know. Just give it a spin. I'm going to put that down for a second. I'm going to tilt it up a little bit, and I'm going to use the wheel to turn the mechanism. Now, oh my goodness, that is running so much smoother already. And can you imagine how nice that's going to be once it actually runs right the way through all of the mechanisms in here? So I am really happy with that. I think we are good to go, and to turn this back over and do the next part. Before I do that, I'm going to triple check. Yeah, there's one little spot there that I missed. I'm going to give that another dot of oil. Quite often you will find little holes in your machine in a bar. You may not be able to see it, but there's one here where I've just put this needle. Quite often those are actually where the machine is designed to be oiled, and in your manual it'll probably show you those different places you can oil the machine. So an extra dot in the bottom here because it hasn't been probably oiled for about 30 years. I'm not joking, 30 years probably. Who knows? Anyway, there, she's oiled. And because she's purely mechanical, I know there's no cogs, as in some of my Husqvarnas have got some cogs in them, or cam stacks they're called, and they freeze up after some time. The grease that they used was really not, I don't think, great grease, because it does turn to varnish and gets solid. That's why all of those machines, those cam stacks or those gears, break. Now this machine doesn't have that same type of cam stack in it. So I'm fairly confident that if I switch this machine on now and let it run, then it'll be fine. So that's the next thing I do. I'm happy that I have oiled the entire inside mechanism, and I am now going to plug her in. Let me just get over here 1 second. And I've got my foot pedal attached already because it comes incorporated into this machine. And we're going to put our foot down. Now, I don't know if you remember when we first started, it didn't sound as smooth as that. So that is already running so much better. And I'm really happy with that. So I let it run for a little bit. It helps the oil seep into all of the little places that it needs to go. And before I go and close it up, I'm going to obviously put the bobbin case back in. But that's only after I've given it a really good thorough clean. It has little grooves and all sorts in it, so make sure that there's no dirt in those. They can be washed. If you want to, you can wash them in warm soapy water, or a good machine parts cleaning substance. Don't use anything too abrasive though. You could damage it. And then make sure it's 100% dry before you put it back in if you have taken all of this apart. So that is now lovely and clean and can go back in. Give it another whirl before I put it back in, and just for added measure I'm going to put another dot of oil down there. I haven't addressed the top of this machine yet because this can come off and this can come off. Whoops, that's me, probably oil on my clothing. Let's have a look. Does that take this cover off? Yes, it does. So the side cover on this one does come off, full of dust, of course. We can give that a little gentle dust off. It doesn't need much else in this case. It's pretty clean. But you can see, despite the fact that I've cleaned the whole of the bobbin race, there's a lot of dust in here. So now what I'm going to do is, normally I would have cleaned this before at the same time as I did the bottom, but I wanted to show you the bobbin side first. But I'm going to put something over the bobbin case and the throat of the machine. You don't want to have cleaned all of this and done all of that, and then you start brushing away at this, only to drop all the debris back into where you've already been. So get your brush in there and give it a really, really good clean. I tend to start off with a paintbrush or a brush, a nice soft brush. Use the lever to raise and lower the presser foot. When I find it up and down, make sure that's mechanically working okay. And get in there and give it a bit of a dust first. Vacuum it if you want. Once you've done that, I then start to poke around with my pipe cleaner. So this is a slightly bigger than normal pipe cleaner. Guys, just be careful. You know, don't come back to me and say, you told me to use a pipe cleaner and I stuck it into my machine and it's stuck in there and it broke. You got to use your common sense, all right? The other thing is, don't try using too much force if you've got a more modern machine. And for example, I've got a lot of machines that have a bobbin sensor in them, and that's to tell you when you're about to run out of a bobbin thread. Those little mechanisms are very, very sensitive because they've got the thinnest little wires connecting them into the circuit boards and things, so they are easily damaged. So don't go and do this in that type of bobbin case unless you know where the wires are and you are very careful, and be very gentle. So very gently, and then also use your vacuum cleaner. So we're going to go in between everything, and in between we just wipe off that. We want to get in there because believe me, there's so much dirt that you can find in here. These machines aren't as bad because they have, let me turn this and show you. This is where the thread actually goes around. But a lot of the newer machines, you'll find this mechanism is actually built into the case and you don't notice the dirt. So when you do open it, it's going to have a fair bit of dirt from the thread because of the friction on the thread. So you will have to clean that. But in this case, we don't have that mechanism internally, so it's not going to be as bad. However, there are lots of other places for dirt to collect, and you want to make sure you've got hold of all of those. While I'm there, I do a turn with my hand wheel to see how it works mechanically. And the reason for that is because we want to oil it. So I'm going to oil this post here. There's a hole there. I'm going to assume I might want to put some oil in that. We want to also put a dot of oil onto the lever that controls the presser foot up and down, and that will then make sure it doesn't get stuck. So we just give that a bit of oil and turn the wheel. You can see how this mechanism goes up and down. You want that to be reasonably smooth, so we put a dot of oil on that. And then obviously there's this entire mechanism at the back here, which is so vital to oil as well at the same time. So I'm going to put a fairly decent couple of drops of oil on each of those mechanisms there, and anything else I see inside the machine that turns. So I'm going to just turn this away from you for a second so I can get to that and this large flywheel here. Put a dot of oil on that as well. Right, I am happy that all of that has had a dose of oil. So what I can do now is take away this cloth, clean it off, and then I can run the machine again. Now this is a good thing to do, is run this machine, because believe me, when you do this at a high speed, actually all this oil that's excess oil will splash off the machine. And it's better to get it splashed off now than onto your clothing. So let that run. by the way, did you notice I have my hair tied up? There's a very good reason for that, because I have had my hair caught in one of these mechanisms before. You don't want that to happen to you. Please learn from my mistakes. So keep your hair out of the way, ladies. And obviously your fingers as well. So I've done that now. It's a good to go, I think. I'm not sure if you can see that message. I'm going to get rid of it off my screen. And I'm going to just wipe any surface oil that is going to cause a problem later on. Okay? There we go. We have oiled the machine bobbin. We have oiled the machine's threading system. This is the thread. This is the presser foot lever. This is the needles, uptake and downtake, whatever they're called. I don't know what these things are technically called, but it's all done. So give your machine a lovely wipe down. Make sure it's all clean in general. And I think if you've done that, your machine should now be working really, really well. So I'm going to sign off now. We'll do another video once I've put all of the plates and everything back in and I've threaded the machine. In fact, I might show you how to thread the machine if there isn't a video online for this particular make. I'll thread the machine up and then we will be ready to sew with it and test it out. So see you all later. Bye.